Welcome back to this highly anticipated and final part 3 video in this Watch Me series, where you get to watch over my shoulder as I take a real live deal in Indianapolis and wholesale it start to finish. On this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we found and secured a buyer and successfully closed on the transaction, actually today. I'm even going to show you my exact profit breakdown to the penny. Now, you don't want to miss this video because I did the entire deal virtually in a brand new market without ever seeing the property and without even talking to the buyer. Coming up. Hey, if you're new here to the channel, I'm Jerry Norton with FlippingMastery.com, and this channel is all about ways to help you make money wholesaling and flipping real estate so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are released. As a quick recap, in case you missed videos 1 and 2 in this 3-part video series, in video 1, I showed you how I found and secured the contract with a motivated seller remotely in Indianapolis for $50,000. Now, I live in Arizona and I have never physically seen this property. In fact, it's my first time ever doing a deal in Indianapolis. Then in video 2, I went into more detail about how we did our due diligence and how we analyzed the deal and my strategy to find a buyer and wholesale it. Again, in a market where I didn't know any cash buyers. By the way, I'll put a link to those videos in the description box below in case you missed them. So we left off in video 2 where I needed to find a buyer for this deal, and following the standard fix and flip buy formula, I felt really good about an ARV of $275,000 and the rehab being $80,000, which meant I should be able to find a buyer willing to pay $110,000. And since I had the contract for $50,000, that means my initial goal was to wholesale this deal for a $60,000 wholesale profit. Boy, was I wrong. Now, I'm sad to say that's not even close to how it went down, but before you feel too sorry for me, I still made a nice profit, which I'll show you, so keep watching. So why wasn't I able to get $110,000 for this property? It wasn't from a lack of interest or from a lack of finding enough active local investors. Following the technique I taught in video 2, we were able to find dozens of active cash buyers flipping houses right in the same neighborhood. So what was it then? There were 2 primary reasons why I couldn't get a buyer for $110,000. First, most flippers thought that the rehab was going to be more than $80,000. Some said $90,000, some said $100,000, but that wasn't the real reason in my opinion. I actually foresaw the reason and I mentioned it in video 2. Let's address one major concern that we're going to face with our deal. Since the property was on market and listed for $50,000, the agents and flippers are going to see that. And then when we tell them that our price is $110,000, some of them are going to have a real issue with paying $110,000 when it's pending at $50,000. Technically, it shouldn't matter because $110,000 is a good number for a flipper to be in formula and make a profit, but I'm telling you, it does matter for some. And like I predicted, even if $110,000 was a good deal for a fix and flipper, me making $60,000 was just too much for a cash buyer to swallow. In fact, listen to this call I recorded with an agent representing a cash buyer and how the agent tried to help his cash buyer client overcome the fact that we were going to make so much on the deal.
I saw what you guys got it for. They started to do the stare at him and her, and I said, don't get mad at somebody else for getting a good deal.
Right, right. This conversation we have, yeah.
Because that's what a lot of times it comes down to. So somebody that says, well, you got a good deal, you don't need all this. And it's like, well, need is a horribly overused word.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter what we make, it should matter does the number work for you, and that's what should matter.
Well, don't worry about dimes in somebody else's pocket, worry about dollars in your own.
We will lose a few buyers just because of that. They're going to see that and it's going to be too hard to swallow, but we've got a lot of interest. It's going to go. I mean, it's going to get it. So the question is, are you going to let that stop you from getting this deal? Because it's going to go to somebody.
Well, to me, that's not the way it should be done.
Yeah.
Somebody got lucky. Be happy for them. You don't get mad at the guy who won the lottery because you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good way to look at it. Okay, now that agent had the right perspective about us making a huge profit. It shouldn't matter as long as the deal works for the flipper, but you can see where a lot of people would not be okay. Let me ask you, if I brought you a deal that was a good deal for you, would you have an issue with how much money I make? Leave a comment and let me know. Now here's how the deal went down. As I explained in video 2, during the first 10 days, we took the deal to like 20 flippers, and based on their feedback that the rehab was more than $80,000 and the fact that flippers were having a hard time with our $60,000 markup, it became apparent to me that we were not going to be able to do a regular assignment for $110,000. So what happened next? Well, I decided to go with plan B that I mentioned in video 2. My plan B is to just close on the purchase for $50,000 and then turn around and relist it back on market for $110,000 and wait for a buyer to come along. If I do that, I'll have to fund it and it'll take longer and it'll cost me more. So I'm hoping to not have to do that, but we'll see. So I decided to close on the purchase and buy the property for $50,000. The reason is I felt that it would be easier to find a buyer if I could first own it. I felt that if I just had more time, I could find a buyer that would look past the big markup, and instead of assigning my contract, I would own it, because selling a property you own is always easier than assigning a contract. And I was going for a big home run win on this deal, so it was worth the extra cost to buy it and have more time. So that's what I did. After the 10 days, the earnest money became non-refundable, and we closed on August 9th for $50,000. By the way, I did not physically attend the closing. Remember, I live in Arizona and this deal is in Indianapolis. In fact, I don't even attend closings if they're 5 minutes down the road. The title company arranged for a traveling notary to meet me to sign the docs the day before closing, and the funds were wired. Now let me take a minute and go through the closing statement with you. So here's the official closing statement. On the left is what the seller either pays or gets as a credit, which doesn't concern us. But if you're interested to know, you can see he had $4,500 in closing fees, of which $3,500 were paid to his agent. On a $50,000 sale, that's a 7% commission the listing agent got. Why? Because I followed my double dip technique, where the listing agent also represented me on the purchase and the seller paid the full commission, which in this case was 7%. Now, if you're unfamiliar with my double dip strategy, it's critical you learn it. I'll put a link to a video in the description below where I break it down. Okay, going back to the closing statement, on the right is the buyer side of the transaction. That's me. It shows here the sale price of $50,000. I got a credit of $500 for the earnest money deposit, which is just reimbursing me, and also a credit for $117.12 for prorated property taxes. Then I had these three fees of $105, $15, and $25, which are all title-related fees. So my actual net closing fees only came to $27.88. And just so you know, I had 4 other fees associated with buying this property that were outside of closing and not on the closing statement. But they were still costs associated with buying this property, and they were $440 for a structural inspection and $65 for a plumbing inspection, which I talked about both of these in video 2 that I incurred during my 10-day due diligence. I also paid $98 for the traveling notary to meet me and sign all the paperwork, and I also paid for a property insurance policy, but I got most of that back once I sold it, which I'll cover when I do the sale breakdown in a minute. So my total cost to buy this house came to $50,630.88. Now, after closing, the pressure was on. It was time to find a cash buyer. So immediately after closing on the purchase, following the technique I discussed in video 2, we called back all of the agents representing the flippers and told them that we had purchased the home and we own it outright now, and also that we lowered the price to $99,900. We also offered a 5% commission to the agent who found us a buyer. And that's 5% of the sale price. So if we sold it for $100,000, we'd pay a $5,000 commission. Now, when I mentioned that in video 2, I received a lot of comments with questions, so let me explain. I offered a 5% commission for a few reasons. One, I have room in my deal to pay it. Remember, I bought it for $50,000 and I'm trying to sell it for $100,000. If my wholesale fee was $10,000, I probably wouldn't want to offer a 5% commission to an agent. Number 2, I really wanted to motivate the agents to find me a buyer. I could have offered a 3% commission, but I wanted them to put in the extra effort to earn that 5% commission. And in addition to contacting all of the agents that represented the flippers, we also posted it for sale on Zillow by Owner and Craigslist. Now, in case you're wondering how we marketed the deal, we used the website that comes with Flipster, my all-inclusive deal management system, where you can create a property profile and upload your deal, including a picture gallery and a breakdown of the numbers. It even has an opt-in so cash buyers can join your list. This makes it 10 times easier to market your deal to cash buyers because you look professional and you just send them the link to your deal. Now, I did a video where I break down why you need a website and how to use a website for wholesaling houses. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. Okay, back to our deal. Within the first week, we received 3 offers, and I'm gonna share the highlights of me on the phone negotiating those deals, which you don't wanna miss. First, let's talk about the first offer. This was a local fix and flipper that saw our deal posted on Craigslist, and he offered our full asking price of $100,000. Now, first I was pretty excited, but then found out that he didn't have the funds to buy it or the funds to rehab it, and he asked if we do seller financing for him, which I thought about, but he still needed to get a hard money loan for the rehab money, which would put me in a second position because hard money lenders are always in the first position, so I didn't want to do that.
You guys want about 100 for the house, is that right?
Yeah.
One of my biggest issues is obviously being a smaller investor. I've got most of my money wrapped up in what I've got going on right now, so I'm not too liquid right now until I can finish this project up and get it sold. My cash is pretty wrapped up. I'd have to finance that for sure.
Well, I guess that's something we'd have to think about, because the only concern would be they would want to be in first position, which would mean I would have to be in second position. Now, if anything I just said was confusing, I have a video that talks about funding and lien position. This is stuff you need to understand as a flipper and an investor. Link in the description. And if you're curious how seller financing works, I've got a video for that too. You know the drill, the link is in the description. Okay, back to offer number 1. Since the buyer was willing to pay us $100,000, I didn't want to just give up on him. Remember, as a wholesaler, you are a problem solver. The more problems you solve, you guessed it, the more money you make. So to solve his money issue, we found him a hard money lender who was willing to fund 90% of the capital to do the deal. So $100,000 to me to buy the property and $100,000 for the rehab, but the lender required that 10% down, which in this case was $20,000. The problem was he didn't even have the 10% down required to do the loan. So he didn't work out, which was a bummer because we would have made a $50,000 wholesale fee. Now, offer number 2 was through one of the agents we contacted. In fact, it was the same agent you heard a minute ago. The agent said that his buyer's offer was for $85,000. And I told him to put it in writing, but he never did. Every time we talked to the agent, he said that the offer was coming over right away. So when do you think you'll have an offer ready for us?
I'm hoping. I'm trying to keep my fingers crossed so we can have something by the end of the day.
Okay.
If not, it'll be tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we'll wait to hear back from you. Thank you, sir.
All right.
And that's how it went for like a week, and he never actually produced a written offer. The challenge was at the same time we were messing around with that $85,000 flaky buyer, we received a third offer through another one of the agents we contacted. This one was in writing, but it was a low offer for $65,000. So here's what I did. While messing around with the $85,000 offer, we went back to the $65,000 offer and told them that they needed to come up because we had another offer coming in. And then the other thing is we do have another agent that's got an investor that's really serious, and we're expecting an offer in later today.
Okay.
So we wanted to let you know about that, and I'm not sure how serious your buyer is. I mean, the offer was quite a bit lower than where we're at on the asking, so we just wanted to let you know that we're probably going to make a decision tomorrow or late tonight after we get that offer in. Rather than counter, we just thought we'd give you a call, see if you could go back to your investor, talk to them, see kind of where they're at, how serious they are. You know, they are going to need to come in with a much higher offer to be able to get it done.
Okay, I'll talk to my client and let you know if he wants to increase his offer.
Sound good?
All right, sound good.
All right,
okay,
great.
See what I can do.
Okay, good luck. So for about a week, we kept asking the low offer to come up, all the meantime trying to get that $85,000 offer to come through in writing. So how did it play out? The $85,000 offer never came through, but we were able to get the $65,000 offer to come all the way up to $78,000. And when that was as high as I could get them to come up, I accepted that offer for $78,000. Now this was not a total slam dunk offer. The buyer's offer had a $500 deposit and a 10-day inspection contingency, and he was buying the deal with hard money. Now I don't like any of those things when I'm flipping a property. I almost always require a $2,500 non-refundable deposit or higher and no contingencies. But in this deal, I made an exception knowing that my risks were higher than I liked, and here's why. I didn't have any more leverage with that buyer. I beat him up on price from $65,000 to $78,000, and I was worried that if I did the same on terms, I'd risk losing that buyer. So I accepted those terms in the contract, and we scheduled for a closing for about 30 days later. Now, pro tip here, if you ever accept an offer with financing, verify the financing is legit before accepting the offer. So before accepting this offer, I actually called up the hard money lender and I asked if the buyer was fully approved, which he was, and the lender said that he was an experienced flipper that he had worked with before on other deals in the past. That made me feel a lot better about our deal. So approximately 30 days later, which happened to be today, September 18th, we closed on the sale. Now here's a look at the final closing statement. This time I'm the seller, so my breakdown is on the left and the buyer is on the right. So let's take a look at him first just for funsies. You can see here that the purchase price of $78,000, here's his deposit of $500, and then you'll notice here his hard money loan for $149,700, which, you wanna know something interesting? Check this out. He has a rehab credit line with his lender for how much? $79,500. And what did I say the rehab was gonna cost? We also adjusted our rehab number from $100,000 to $80,000. So I was right after all about the rehab budget being $80,000. Now after you wholesale and flip thousands of deals like me, you'll be able to do the same. All right, back to the closing statement. Let's check out our side. We're getting $78,000 and this column is our cost. We have $53.36 in prorated property taxes. We have $80 here in deed prep fees. Then we have $277 in a title policy. That's to insure the title to the buyer. And then the rest of these fees are title and escrow closing fees. They must think it looks better to see a lot of small fees instead of one big total fee. And then here's the big one, $3,900 to the buyer's agent. That's 5% of $78,000, and then another $50 title related fee here. So right here you can see I had a total of $4,878.36 in total closing fees, making my net proceeds $73,121.64. So let's do the final accounting and see what I actually made on this deal. If you take $78,000 and then you subtract my total cost to buy the property, which was $50,630.88, and then you subtract my total closing fees and commissions on the sale, which was $4,878.36. And then I had a couple other small fees, $94.30 for prorated property insurance. That's the total time of 41 days that I had to insure the property. And then I had one more fee here that I want to tell you about, $667.60 that I had to pay. That was prorated interest for funding the deal on the purchase. That was 41 days of that. So my net profit on this deal was $21,728.86. So in video one, I told you that my goal was to make a gross profit of $60,000. So our goal is to wholesale our $50,000 contract for $110,000. That's a $60,000 wholesale. Can we do it? I don't know. Time will tell. Now I actually only made a little less than $22,000, so I was off on my projections. Now if you think I'm an idiot for being off so far, leave a comment and let me know. If you think I'm a genius for still making $21,728.86, leave a comment and let me know that too. But before you comment, consider this. I did this deal in Indianapolis, virtually from Arizona. I never actually saw the property. I didn't have one single cash buyer going into the deal or ever even talk to the eventual buyer. And best of all, I didn't lift a finger and have to do any rehab work on the house at all and made $21,728. So if you voted genius and you want to learn how to wholesale houses virtually or in your local market and make $21,728.86 like I did on this deal, I can not only mentor you, but I can actually partner with you on deals. So if you're working on your first deal or you're already doing deals but you want to level up and do more or bigger deals, and mentoring and partnering with me sounds exciting to you, I want to invite you to watch this advanced training video right here where you can learn all about how I can help you create a 6 and even 7-figure income wholesaling and flipping houses. So watch that video now and I'll see you on the next video.